The 90s. If you're like me, just thinking about it brings back memories of neon windbreakers, dial-up internet, and some absolutely unforgettable pop songs. But what if I told you that the pop culture we all loved and remember was hiding some pretty big secrets right there in plain sight?
Yep, that's the big idea we're diving into. The movies you quoted, the music you danced to, and those moments that just scream 90s. They might not be the whole story. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on some of the decade's most iconic pieces of culture.
So where do we even start? Well, how about with four heroes who lived in the sewers and had a serious pizza obsession? Of course, I'm talking about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and the wild story of how the heroes we all idolized got a major smackdown from some very, very unhappy parents.
See, you gotta remember, when that first live-action movie dropped in 1990, it was huge. But it also had this edge to it. It was surprisingly dark, kind of gritty, and the Turtles did not mess around with their weapons. Shredder was actually intimidating. It felt a little dangerous, and, well, parents were not thrilled.
And this is where it gets really interesting. Just look at the night and day difference between that first movie and its sequel, Secret of the Ooze, which came out only a year later. On one side, you've got the dark, grimy vibe of the original, and on the other, a goofy slapstick sequel where the Turtles, and I am not making this up, literally fought bad guys with a string of sausages.
Now this was no accident. The studio basically nerfed the sequel, like in a video game when they make a character weaker. They slapped a no weapons clause on it, which meant Leo and Mikey pretty much never used their signature weapons on anybody. Even the villains got a downgrade. The creators vetoed the fan favorites, Bebop and Rocksteady, so we ended up with their great value replacements, Taka and Razar.
Alright, so from the big screen, let's head over to the pop charts. The 90s had more than its share of hidden stories, that's for sure. But this next one isn't about corporate meddling. Oh no, this is something much darker, hiding in plain sight in what was the #1 song in the entire country.
The song was Informer by the Canadian artist Snow, and you could not escape it. It was at the top of the Billboard charts, and we all tried our best to sing along to that ridiculously fast chorus. There was just one tiny problem. Nobody had the faintest idea what he was saying. To most of us, it was just sounds.
Yeah, remember that? Informer, say, daddy me, snow me, I go blame, something, something, something. That was the sound of 1993. It was the ultimate party song that we all just kind of vibed to without a clue.
So, it's the question that has haunted an entire generation. What on earth was Snow actually saying in that chorus?
Okay, brace yourselves. Here are the real lyrics. And they are, wow, he was saying, detective man say daddy me, snow me, stab someone down the lane. Yeah, you heard that right. He's telling a detective that he stabbed somebody. The biggest party anthem of 1993 was a confession, and we were all just dancing along.
Okay, let's take a deep breath after that one. We're going to pivot now from a secret message hidden in a song to a very, very public message that defined an era. And what's so incredible is that it was delivered with a simplicity that's just almost impossible to imagine today.
2 words. That's it. On March 18th, 1995, after his famous detour into professional baseball, this is how Michael Jordan, the biggest athlete on the planet, announced his return to the NBA.
I mean, really think about that for a second. There was no hour-long primetime TV special, no carefully crafted Instagram post. He just had his agent sent out a press release through a fax machine. A piece of paper screaming through a phone line was all it took to set the entire sports world on fire.
And that single event right there is a perfect snapshot. It's a study in contrasts between two completely different eras of media, of fame, of everything.
So on one side, you've got Michael Jordan in 1995 sending a 2-word fax. Then in 2010, you have LeBron James announcing his move to Miami with a 75-minute TV special called The Decision. As one source put it, MJ just needed a dial tone. LeBron needed a whole film crew. Jordan's fax was this pre-internet power move, while LeBron's show kicked off what we now call the player empowerment era, where athletes seized control of their own stories.
For our final story, we're actually going to circle all the way back to the Turtles, because their influence stretched way, way beyond the movie theater. It turns out our nostalgic memories were pretty carefully manufactured and then sold to us, one greasy slice at a time.
Let's just be honest with ourselves. The original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie was basically one giant commercial for Pizza Hut. That partnership was so massive that for a whole lot of us, it's pretty much impossible to separate the two in our memories.
And look, this partnership went deep. It wasn't just about putting their faces on a pizza box. Oh no.
They had TMNT-branded snacks called Pizza-Crunchabungas. They had collector's cups, cereal box tie-ins. The cross-promotion was just on a whole other level.
But the absolute crown jewel of this whole turtle pizza empire was the legendary Bigfoot Pizza. For just $10.99, you got this enormous rectangular pizza with 21 slices. This thing was the absolute peak of the 90s more is more philosophy. It was all about quantity over quality.
So, was the pizza any good? Probably not. I love how one writer described it, a flat, salty rectangle of regret. And you know what? That's probably fair. But it didn't matter. As a kid, carrying that giant box into a birthday party made you a hero. The pizza itself might have been forgettable, but the experience? That's a core part of our nostalgia.
So when you put it all together, sanitized sequels, hidden confessions, and these massive marketing campaigns, you start to see the forces that really shape the 90s we remember. And it leaves us with one last big question. What are the hidden stories shaping our culture right now? What secrets are hiding in our memes, our streaming shows, and our celebrity beefs that we'll only be able to clearly see 30 years from now?